Hey everyone, my name's Todd. I'm the Chief Aircrew Officer of Coulson Aviation Australia.
Swimmers in the water.
Today we're going to be having a look at a video that was recorded during a training exercise in conjunction with the RFS Aviation Rescue Crew and a check flight of what we call a OPC, an Operational Proficiency Check for our aircrew officer and a new pilot within the company. So let's dive in, have a look, and let's see how they go.
Lift this tempo. Good work, Dunk. Good set.
Okay, up and walking forward.
Copy, we're setting up in the back here.
Alright, let's get there.
So what we're seeing here, guys, so it's the very start of the training exercise. So what we try and do here in Coulson is provide a holistic environment, which is really beneficial for the flight crew. So it's not necessarily this jumping through what we call a sausage factory exercise. This is real holistic with live patients in the water and a realistic environment which is set for the crews to operate and execute their skill sets in. So as we can see, the aircraft is just departing a local location to fly out to what we have in the water as a person in distress. So in the configuration of the flight, we have the pilot, which is the PIC in the front right-hand side. So he's under assessment because, again, he's new to the company, and on the back of 3 or 4 training flights, we're now into an assessment criteria. The pilot in the left-hand side is one of Coulson Aviation Australia's senior check and training pilots, and he'll be conducting the assessment, making sure that the pilot is up to speed with the processes and procedures. Now, there are some levels of mentoring and training throughout the video, which we encourage as well, just to make sure that we're getting the best out of the flight crew. In the rear of the cabin, we have the ACO, the aircrew officer, who is operating the winch and in command of the back cabin. And we have our RFS Aviation Rescue Crew officer, who is sitting there and prepping himself to be inserted into the water to relocate the survivor. We also have a check and training ACO. He's also in the back cabin to conduct safety, mentoring and training for the ACO and the ARC during the flight component. So again, let's see how they go. The next stage is to ascertain eyes on the survivor and then execute an instruction.
So they're coming right now, Dunk?
Roger, you're clear, right? Hooks with the swimmer. Flies are inside.
Eyes are out, victim seen.
First checks.
So the important little thing to note there as the flight continues, as we have eyes on the survivor. So the pilot has taken a positive handover from the ACO, and he's now conducting a right-hand circuit, as all the flight crew is on the right-hand side of the machine. So it's important the aircraft continues to turn right, and the pilot at this stage will maintain full connection with the survivor in the water. The ACO now is bringing his eyes inboard, and is conducting what we call the first set of safety checks. So this is to critically analyse and evaluate all the systems and the mechanics of the rescue swimmer, the equipment and the winch hook.
Put the water over there.
Connections. Okay, well, eyepiece, chest strap, chin strap, helmet, goggles.
Okay, do one and straight into it.
First checks are good, bring it into the door.
At 200 feet, straight round and then...
That's it, mates. Good boys.
Second checks.
Hold a flight circuit.
Connections. Okay, well. Okay, I've got the target sighted through 3 o'clock, we're ready.
So the next stage of the flight is basically flying nicely. So the flight crew again have maintained eyes and contact with the survivor, which is absolutely critical in the water environment. The ACO has done really well, conducted the first set of safety checks really thoroughly, has moved the ARC over to the door, conducted a second check, which is an abbreviated safety reaction to the first set. The check and training pilot, as you can hear, is just tipping through some pointers to the pilots. And basically talking about his speeds, his heights and his rate of turns. So again, it's critical in the real world that aircraft keeps things nice and tight, maintains a little bit of speed and then has a really controlled descent approach to the target.
Righto, stand by. Run around onto the downwind leg now.
Roger.
Good, same place.
And just a quick little point too, the additional third person in the back, as you can see, was that initial training and checking aircrew officer that I mentioned at the start of the video. So again, he's that additional set of safety eyes and also just there to mentor and make sure he can do an assessment on the ACO as well as the ARC. So he's just moving across cabin so he can get his eyes on the target, make sure the guys, their terminology, their patter and their line is all safe and correct.
Alright, all good. Keep it into wind when we come round.
Target's coming through 4 o'clock.
Okay, get your descent down to 100 feet. Bring it round. Probably a little bit slow on that one, that's fine.
Coming through 3 o'clock.
Slowing up. Continue on that descent.
Okay, bring the swimmer out onto the step.
So where we're at now in the cycle of the mission is we're coming into the last phase. So the aircraft has flown a nice tight right-hand circuit. They're positioning it on descent to basically around that 50 feet above the water. If we're higher than that, we risk, well, there's always a risk to the ARC that if there was to be a major issue with the cable, his fall would be potentially unsurvivable or contain serious injury. So we want to make sure that the aircraft is low enough, but there's always the balance. There's a balance between aircraft performance and power and flyweight, but also the ability to get your swimmer to the survivor very quickly and efficiently. So the 50 feet at this stage on a day, big open body of water, is the preferred target height. As you can see, you have the survivor who is indicating they are in distress. The aircraft is prepped, ready, set, and ready to roll.
Swimmers on the step. Final checks. Okay, got the target sighted. I'm ready in the back.
Clear to winch. I'm at the datum.
Roger, clear to winch, winching out.
You have the con, make sure you have the con.
So what we've done, you'll hear the term datum. So what the aircraft and the crew have communicated to each other is the aircraft has pulled up into a hold short. So the survivor should be about 20 to 30 metres in front of the aircraft. Pilot has now given the reference to the ACO. So that is a terminology reference communication point between the flight crews. Now, at this point, the pilot is holding the reference with the survivor. The ACO's job is to lower the ARC to the water, and then once they're in, they're configured for the run-in, they will then hand over a terminology, which is what we call my reference, your reference. Very positive and a very critical safety communication aspect between the flight crew. So at this stage, they're just talking about there's a little bit of a breakdown, which is controllable in this environment. They can get these tips, learn, and move on. So at this stage here, our ACO is just winching the ARC, again, the Aviation Rescue Crew Officer, down to the water, ready for prep for pickup.
At 12 o'clock, you're clear to run in, 40 to run. Winching past the skid, 30 to run, come right online. Maintain, 20 to run.
So again, we talk about patter. So patter in this industry is what is basically, in general terms, it is me communicating verbally to the pilot once I have control of the aircraft. So the PIC, he still has full hands-on and physical control of the machine, but he'll listen to his ACO in the rear cabin. And we heard a terminology, move left online. So what he's doing is he's calling the aircraft to move left. Once it's in line with the survivor, he'll call maintain. So again, the pilot will listen to the communication and the tempo of the ACO in the back, because once he loses visual of the survivor, he has nothing but water. So it is critical that they listen to the ACO and they will verbally communicate and move the aircraft onto target. So this little sequence here is actually conducting what we call like a dynamic run-in. So he is winching down as the aircraft moves in. Very tricky and very hard. He's communicating, controlling speed, line and height of the aircraft in the 3-axis system, as well as controlling the height of the ARC on the cable. So there's a lot going on. It is a very high tempo skill set, but let's see how close you can get to the survivor.
Good speed, come right online, keep coming right, maintain, 10 to run, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, clear back 2, 1, hold, swimmers in the water.
Okay, so again, really good training point and the lesson learned for the ACO. So what happened? He was probably a little bit high with his cable control. Speed and line of the aircraft were good. He just overshot by his terminology. So by calling hold on the aircraft, which the pilot will then stop all movement. He probably did that just slightly a little bit late, but again, very good reaction, very clear communication, is then clear back, move back to the aircraft reposition, and as we can see, our swimmer is now with the survivor.
Look at Victim.
Just a little bit high on that one, bud.
Collars over the swimmer, Victim. Tail's clear, back 3.
Back 3.
And they're just drifting, so keep coming back.
Back.
Back 3. 2. 1. Good position.
Okay, so again, what we're seeing here from the ARC in the water is his priority is to safely adapt a hypo position, which is a rescue piece of equipment. He's put the strop over the top of the survivor and he's put a hypo lift underneath the legs. The design of this is to prevent blood rushing away from the major organs of a survivor that's been in the water for long periods of time. So what we can do by setting up in this configuration is preventing the survivor from going into hypothermic shock. And it's also a safe and comfortable way to retrieve the patient from the water. So again, you'll have a compliant and complacent patient in this scenario, but again, it's critical for the training aspects is to learn to approach a survivor, communicate, and to get that set piece of equipment or the set strop onto the survivor without pushing them underwater or causing further damage to the survivor. So the other skill set from the crewman is the ACO, is he's maintaining position of the aircraft above the survivor, which can be quite hard. Because as you can imagine, you have a moving target. In the water, it gets affected by the downwash. As you can see in that picture there, it's quite a difficult position to maintain, and the crewman will be constantly moving the aircraft around to maintain position above the survivor and also to give assistance with the cable tension for the ARC in the water. So far, they're doing a good job.
And you're clear to move left 2. 1, hold. And they're plumb below the aircraft. Just doing up the chest strap. I've got a thumbs up. Weight's coming on in 2, 1. You have the weight.
Righto.
Clear to winch.
Clear to winch.
Winching in.
Okay, so part of the safety procedure for the whole team is what we call basically a double thumbs up. A big thumbs up symbol indicates to the ACO that the ARC is now comfortable and set in the water. So the initial first thumbs up from the ARC will indicate that he is ready for the tension to be taken. Once that's taken by the ACO, weight has been taken, he'll then do a cross check. So again, that is critical. That's his last opportunity to detect if there's been any malfunction, if there's a twist, if there's any sort of disconnection of the safety critical equipment. Once he checks that, he gives a second additional thumbs up to the ACO, and then they winch to the aircraft.
They're clear of the water. 30 foot of cable out. Maintail well clear. Halfway up. Control check is good. We're just in slow speed mode on the hoist.
Roger.
Hook's passing the skid. And Victim's passing the step. You maintail are clear, your reference size are coming inside.
So this is another critical phase of the mission. So again, at this stage, the survivor is safe. So we have achieved our objective by removing the person from the danger, being the water, and we've extracted the patient up to the side of the aircraft. The mechanics of the next stage can be quite difficult at times, depending on the position of the survivor, the size, the compliance. Are they unconscious? Are they willing to cooperate? But again, you've got to try and manage the hoisting process past the step. You want to hand reference back over to the pilot, so now he has control of the aircraft. The benefits of winching over water is technically you're not going to hit anything, but you never know. These sort of water environments are typical to what we operate with the New South Wales RFS aircraft. We're called to things like floodwaters, inland waterways, lakes, rivers, creeks, anything where someone may have been washed off their car, swept off a roof, overturned canoe. The aircraft, as you can see, has the complete capability, performance, power and skill set to extract someone from these environments. The main point of these training skills are to make sure that we're recent. So there's a difference, as I said, the OPC, the operational proficiency check, which is a 12-monthly check. But what we also want to do is maintain that recency. For everyone's sake, we don't do this every day, which is a good thing for the community. But at the end of the day, we need to remain sharp with our skills, and conducting this roughly only 3 to 4 months keeps us sharp. And when these jobs come up for real, we're on the ball and we're able to complete this successfully.
Clear to come up.
Stand by.
Just come up a little bit.
Victim's inboard.
Roger.
Eyes are back outside. You're clear to come up and roll your reference.
Coming up and walk forward.
Okay. Survivor's in the seat.
And land on, shut down.
Righto. Let them just climb up, tell them we're landing.
Okay, so as far as the mission is relevant to the video, yeah, the mission is complete. It's been a success. So we've ascertained the position of the survivor, we've extracted the patient safely, and now returning the patient to potential medical care if required, or to the safety of the shore. So again, you can see they are very high tempo, high driven, very team environment, which is something why all the guys love it. Interaction between the pilot, the ACO and the ARC is critical. One of those legs break down, the potential for the mission is to go a little bit sideways. But again, with RFS and Coulson Aviation Australia, safety is paramount. So again, we want to practice these skill sets, making sure that our CRM, our cockpit resource management and human factors are at the tip of the sword. So again, very successful, some really good learning points from both the pilot and the ACO, which is critical. If you ever stop learning in aviation, you should probably go move on to another industry. So even the most experienced guys, including the trainers on board, learn something every time we get airborne. So that's it. That's how the guys work. Again, really slick, really clear, good communication and a successful outcome. So thanks for watching and catch you next time.